So, do you guys remember back, like when Britney Spears had that abortion with Justin Timberlake? Oh my God,
Shocking new details have
it's
surfaced about
so
Diddy's
bad. I
alleged role in
guess.
Britney Spears'
Okay,
downfall, and it's worse than anyone could have imagined.
I
On
don't know
top
if
of
this is
that,
true or
Britney's
not.
ex,
This is
Justin
just
Timberlake, has been
fictional
exposed for
story. I just want to
allegedly
put that out there. But
conspiring with Diddy to destroy her.
supposedly, Britney Spears got pregnant by Diddy, and Justin Timberlake was pissed off and made Britney Spears get an abortion with P. Diddy's mixed child, love child, sex child, I guess. I don't know how to say that, but then, so that's why they broke up. It all makes sense now. And then, oh my God, he did a humiliation ritual and ruined her career. He hired everybody. Diddy was behind the whole time. He was set out to make
While
her,
he waits for
to
his
ruin
trial
her,
in
and
May
he did,
2025. And now there's a new
because
twist.
she
And the
aborted
details
his
are
baby.
honestly heartbreaking because
Oh
they've
my
really
God.
destroyed one of the greatest pop stars of all time. There's a lot of dirt coming out on Diddy and Justin's connection to Britney's sad downfall, so let's break it all down. Rob might have had a hand in Britney Spears' downfall. To really understand how wild this is, let's take it back to December 31st, 2006, when Britney hosted the New Year's Eve party at Pure Nightclub in Las Vegas.
So bringing the news with you, boys and girls, here tonight, Miss Britney Spears!
OMG, you guys gonna look on television? It's 27 seconds too far. Just remember, what happens in Vegas always stays.
Here's where things get wild. Less than an hour after ringing in the new year, Britney passed out and had to be carried out of the club. According to TMZ, Britney was swigging champagne before she passed out cold and fell to the floor. But here's where it gets sketchy. Britney's manager at the time, Larry Rudolph, denied the claims that Britney passed out and claimed she simply fell asleep. Rudolph told the Associated Press, by about 1 o'clock she was just done, so we took her out. She was not drunk, she was just tired and falling asleep. However, multiple eyewitnesses claimed they saw Britney talking to one of her male dancers when she suddenly collapsed to the floor. One eyewitness said that it looked like Britney was being dragged and unable to walk on her own, and they overheard a female member of Britney's entourage shouting, "Make sure nobody gets any photos. No photos anywhere." And while they managed to keep all photos of Britney being carried out under wraps, you can still find pictures from right before the incident where Britney is seen holding a champagne glass and looking like she's about ready to pass out. So after that night, the tabloids went wild, painting Britney as completely out of control, and every day there was a new story claiming she was spiraling. By February 14th, 2007, Britney had checked herself into a rehab facility in Antigua, and she left after just one day. Then, just 2 days later, she shocked everyone by walking into a salon in Sherman Oaks and shaving her head, which the media quickly labeled as a mental breakdown.
Oh my God! She's completely bald. She's completely bald.
However, in her 2023 memoir, Britney claimed that shaving her head and acting out were her ways of pushing back. So just a few days after this incident, Britney checked into rehab again, this time at the Promises Rehab facility in Malibu. However, she again left after less than 24 hours. And then a few months later, Britney fired her manager, Larry Rudolph, the same man who claimed that Britney fell asleep in that nightclub on New Year's Eve. And Britney made an interesting comment at the time, probably why she refused to stay at the rehab centers that her management picked for her. Then in May 2007, Britney wrote that famous "I am lost" letter to her fans. And from what she wrote, it's clear she suspected her management was setting her up and possibly medicating her against her will. Britney talked about experiencing weird symptoms before being sent to rehab, but she couldn't figure out why, since she wasn't drinking or using substances. It's believed that by this time, Britney was already being medicated regularly without her knowledge or consent, which is probably what led to her erratic public behavior. After she wrote that letter, things only seemed to spiral further, and over the next few months, Britney got involved in several public incidents. Meanwhile, the tabloids were working overtime to paint her as crazy, claiming she was a ticking time bomb and a danger to her children. But the rabbit hole goes even further. During this time, Britney started spending a lot of time with his producer, J.R. Rodham. J.R. was born in South Africa to Israeli parents and moved to the U.S. when he was 12. He made a name for himself in the early 2000s, working with big names in the music industry like Rihanna and Destiny's Child, and even Britney's ex, Kevin Federline. So throughout the summer of 2007, the tabloids were speculating that Britney and J.R. were dating since they were often spotted together. But knowing what we know now about how the industry works, it sounds like J.R. Rodham was probably one of those Hollywood handlers. During the summer of 2007, Rodham and Britney were often spotted on random outings in Hollywood in the middle of the night. And allegedly, Rodham was setting up meetings with dealers to keep Britney hooked on substances. And then came September 2007 and that infamous VMAs performance. This performance was heavily promoted as Britney's grand comeback, with the media building hype for months. But when the night finally arrived, it turned out to be a total disaster. Britney was lip-syncing but was completely out of sync. She looked dazed and confused, her hair and makeup were a mess, her outfit didn't fit right. It was a complete train wreck. And while most celebs in the audience looked either concerned or shocked, there was one man who looked completely unfazed. Now here's where the story takes a dark turn. The reason Diddy was the only celeb who didn't look shocked by Britney's performance is allegedly because he knew what was going to happen that night. See, the 2007 VMAs took place on September 9th. And guess what Britney was doing the night before? You guessed it, she was partying with Diddy. According to this People magazine article, Britney made at least 2 club stops filled with dancing and champagne on Friday night ahead of the VMAs. First, hanging with magician and illusionist Chris Angel, then hitting a party thrown by Diddy. People said that after leaving the Bobby English Club at the Hard Rock Hotel, Britney showed up at Pure Nightclub, where Diddy made sure she got a warm welcome. He even gave her a shout-out from the main stage around 2 a.m., and eyewitnesses claimed they saw Britney in the VIP area, sipping champagne and dancing barefoot on a couch. And at one point, Diddy grabbed the mic and told the crowd, "Britney, she holds her head up high, show some respect." But in hindsight, this honestly sounds more like a threat than a shout-out. That same night, Cassie was celebrating her 21st birthday in Vegas, and while Diddy and Cassie weren't officially a couple yet, Cassie mentioned in her lawsuit that Diddy kissed her without her consent for the first time in Vegas the night before the VMAs. There are even photos of Britney hanging out with Diddy and Cassie that night on September 8th, just before her VMAs performance. And allegedly, that was the night Diddy slipped something into Britney's drink. So after that humiliation ritual at the VMAs, it seemed like everything spiraled out of control for Britney, and the media wasted no time in dragging her through the mud.
Perhaps her performance was less than polished because of all the partying she got in Sin City rather than rehearsal time. Late Friday night, Britney hit 3 hotspots and was snapped at Caesar's Palace at Pure Nightclub with P. Diddy. Saturday night, she hit the dance floor again. And last night, after leaving the awards, Britney was spotted at Noir Nightclub until 2:30 this morning, where she apparently spent most of her time in the restroom.
And get this, just days after her VMAs performance, an LA judge ordered Britney to undergo random alcohol and substance testing as part of her custody battle with Kevin Federline. Now fast forward to January 2008, and Britney lost custody of her sons. And then on February 1st, 2008, she was officially placed under conservatorship.